Today we are preparing to read excerpts from Trevor Noah's memoir, Born a Crime, Stories from a South African Childhood. So our lesson will be focused on understanding apartheid, the system of government, South Africa during the time period, and as well as Trevor Noah's life. So I will ask you at times to pause your recording and do some learning on your own through viewing some videos, and then we will come back together and discuss what you watched. So let's get started. Trevor Noah is the author of our story, and he was born in South Africa in 1984. This was when the country was under apartheid rule, and it was a system of government that was implemented. And on your slides that have been embedded into the course, you can click on this area down here because this is where South Africa is. And when you click here, you can explore the country via Google Maps. So I would like you to pause right now and go take 3 minutes and explore. Once you've finished exploring, please come back and we will continue. Now that you have explored a little on your own, let's talk about the setting of the story. Apartheid was a set of laws created by an all-white government that segregated South Africans by race. This began in 1948, and you may be thinking, that's a little bit familiar to what I've learned about America's history. So it is actually similar because South Africans who wanted to implement this system did model it after segregation in the United States. So the sign you see on your right here is signs that would be posted all throughout South Africa, and it would tell people where and where they could and could not go. So the top is written in English, and then this bottom part is written in Afrikaans, which was a predominantly spoken language in South Africa. So what you can do right now is, here's your second pause of the video. I'd like you to pause, and when you click on the slide, you will be directed to a YouTube video that gives you a little bit more information about apartheid South Africa. So go ahead and do that. Welcome back. Hopefully you learned some great pieces of information about apartheid that you did not know before. Give you a little bit more context. So a little bit more about the setting. So under apartheid, Black South Africans were forced to live and work in separate and unequal circumstances compared to white citizens. Now, Black South Africans were the predominant race of South Africa. There was a 1% population that were in charge that were all white. So it was not a fair or equal system, but it did affect a lot of people. So the picture you are seeing on the right is a township called Soweto. It's in Johannesburg, and this area was segregated to just blacks. So these residents were forced to live here. They didn't have a choice. They couldn't live in white areas or even mixed areas because apartheid South Africa did segregate not just black and white, but it also had a colored section, which was potentially mixed races, or if you were Asian, Indian, you would fall into that category. So this is just one picture of what the township looked like. Apartheid lasted until the early 1990s, and there was a constitution that was amended to remove apartheid restrictions. Their first free election in South Africa, they elected the freedom fighter Nelson Mandela, who you may have heard of before, but they also refer to him as Madiba, and he was their first black president. So if you click on the picture of Nelson Mandela, that's him actually voting in the 1994 election. You will learn more information about him. He was a very, very important figure in history. So please take a few minutes and watch that video and then come back to continue the rest of your lesson. So moving on to a little bit about Trevor Noah himself, there's a few resources here, and we'll go over the timeline together, but I'd like you to read the bio yourself. So first we're going to go through a very brief timeline of his life, and then there's this bio here, and I would like you to read that. So little bit about his life. Trevor Noah, he was a brother, a son, and a grandson. Here's a picture of him as a baby, born on February 20, 1984 in Johannesburg, South Africa. So that picture you saw, not he wasn't in Soweto. He was at some points of his life, but not as a baby, but in the township of Johannesburg. His mother is named Patricia. She was a Xhosa woman who rebelled against the laws of apartheid. One of her rebellions was having Trevor Noah with a white South African. So his father is a Swiss German, and he opened restaurants in South Africa. And then there's his grandmother, Gogo. She protected Trevor a lot in his childhood, and he does have a brother named Andrew who still lives in South Africa. So now it is your turn to go and read more details about Trevor Noah. We will be moving on to our discussion part of class today. So, first, you are going to watch the video. If you are in person with me, you can work with the partner next to you. If you are at home, you can just watch it on your own. This video is actually an interview between Trevor and his Gogo, his grandmother. And he aired this on The Daily Show, which he has been a host of. So please watch the video, and then you are to respond to what was it like for Black South Africans during apartheid, and you are going to respond on the Padlet that is linked in these slides. So please pause the video, take a few minutes, and complete this section. Okay, next video. So we're now going to learn a little bit about how Trevor Noah is impacting the world around him. So you're going to, again, watch a video, same rules as we just talked about with your previous one. It's called Born a Crime, from the page to students' ears. It was aired on CBS Morning. And then you are going to answer the questions that were delivered to you prior to this assignment, so you all should have them, on the Jamboard linked. So similar to what we have been doing. So please pause the video, watch the other video, and then discuss. And finally, we have somewhat of a fun end to our lesson today. This clip that you are about to watch is about Trevor Noah growing up in South Africa, and there are actually some similar stories that he shares in his text. So they are hopefully a little comical to you. We will see after you watch. But again, you are to answer the questions that have been given to you prior to the lesson, and then post one of your answers on the Jamboard. So please pause and engage in that at this time. Our final aspect of today's lesson is just a brief review. I did briefly mention that one of Patricia, Trevor's mother's rebellions was that she had Trevor with a white man. So there was an act called the Immorality Act, which made sexual relations between people of different races illegal. So it was an illegal act to have Trevor with someone who was not of the same race as Patricia. So that was one of her big rebellions. His mother was Xhosa, his father was this Swiss German, and that was just not allowed. But this was the inspiration for the title of his book, Born a Crime, because it was a crime for him to even have been born. So that is your fun piece of information for this lesson. So through what we've learned today, I hope you have some background knowledge to start preparing to read